Hello everybody, I'm Junia Doan. This is Uncommon Sense. Thank you for joining us. My guest, Theresa Borawski, is the retention advisor of Mid-Michigan Community College. A lifetime eating pattern left her confined to a wheelchair as she weighed 428 pounds. Over the last 2 years, she has reduced her weight to 152 pounds. Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you.
I feel you've run 10 marathons here. I'm in awe. I really am awe. How did you come to do this, to make the decision?
Well, I had a series of conversations with people, and they sort of planted the seed. And it began when my grandmother died. She passed away in January of 2011. And Grandma always said that she would pray for me. She prayed for me every day. Not necessarily because of the rheumatoid arthritis or the asthma, but just that I would be happy. And so she passed away. I was at her bedside, and it was a blessed passing. And at the funeral, I was in a wheeled walker at that time at the funeral, and one of my cousins said to me, well, Miss Borawski, what are you going to do now? Who's going to pray for you now? And I was just kind of taken aback. And I said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to walk again. And he just kind of laughed. And I said, no, really. If Grandma prayed for me every day on earth, what do you think is going to happen in my life if she's praying for me in heaven? I had no idea what was going to happen. I mean, I haven't been on a diet in years, and I really didn't care. So I just, blurted that out. And then a couple weeks later, I woke up in the morning and I had 2 broken teeth. They had broke during the night, just broke right off, front teeth. I was horrified. So I went to the dentist and she asked me a question. She said, boy, you must really eat a lot of sugar. I'm like, no, I don't. I really don't like sweets. No, I don't. And she said, well, what about soda? I said, oh yeah, soda. I had a really bad soda addiction. I was drinking a 2-liter bottle of Faygo every night and 2 Mountain Dews at work. And so she said, well, you really need to start drinking water. I just kind of blew it off. Okay, that's great, thanks. And they repaired the teeth and went to work and was at a meeting, and I was just miserable. I could hardly walk. Was using that walker. I was in pain, on pain medication, just completely at the end. I was at the point of selling my house. I was thinking I'd have to sell my house and move to assisted living because I couldn't bring the groceries in, couldn't wash my dishes. I have a chair in front of the kitchen sink, chair in the bathroom to brush my teeth. I couldn't use shampoo and conditioner at the same time because I couldn't stand up long enough to do both of those. And so I went and got a haircut. And I thought, well, maybe that always makes you feel better. I was just miserable.
Renewal.
Went in to get a haircut, and I went to a place I'd never been before. It's right next to the college in Mount Pleasant. And I walked in, and you just sign your name. It was a walk-in. It wasn't even my regular place. And so I sat down, and I couldn't fit in the seat in the waiting room. So I moved the books and the things off the shelf there, and I sat on the windowsill and waited for someone to call me. And the person that came and got me was the most unusual looking character. He had black bozo-like hair, a little blue tuft on the top of his head, blue, black nail polish, rings, the whole goth look. And I was so miserable that I thought, how bad can this be, and what am I going to do now? So I went back there, and he says, what can I do for you? I said, well, I really don't care. I'm at the point of giving up. I don't care. Maybe a haircut will help. I'm just miserable. And he looked at me, and I looked in the mirror. I'm like, oh, how bad must it be to let somebody that's an unusual looking character cut your hair? And he looked in the mirror and he said, just because you're heavy and just because you're not feeling well doesn't mean you can't care about how you look. He says, let me cut your hair. Okay. And I thought about that, and I'm like, wow, I really didn't care. I went to work dressed in clothes that made me look like a tent. I had orthopedic shoes. All I cared about was getting up. How was I going to get to the college? How was I going to help the students? And going home and going to bed. That's where I was at. And so, 4 or 5 days later, I went to my rheumatologist. I said, I can't live like this. I just can't live like this. They tried every medication. They had the injections. I was on pain medicine. I said, I can't live like this. And he said, well, I don't know what I can do for you. We tried everything. He said, I don't know. He says, I'm going to be honest with you. You ought to be more concerned about living than living like this, period. And so I wheeled myself out of there, and I thought, if he can't do anything for me, I need to do something. But what? But what? You say, oh yeah, I lose 100 pounds. Well, 100 pounds didn't even make a dent when you're 275 pounds overweight.
Yeah.
And who loses 100 pounds? A few days later, my sister called, and she had decided she was going to have bariatric surgery.
Was she overweight?
She was overweight.
Around your proportion?
Not quite. She had maybe 125 pounds to lose. And so she had made that decision. She had, unlike me, she had went on several diets and lost weight successfully, gained it back, did the whole cycle. And so she had made that decision for herself. And I begged her not to. Please, don't do this, please. I was afraid. Yeah. Dangerous. Right. I've never had surgery. So please don't do this. And she says, I've already made up my mind. I'm doing it. She lives downstate. And so I hung up the phone and I thought, I was mad. Yeah. I said, I'm going to show you. Right. I'm going to show you. And I opened the door of the refrigerator and I picked up this 2-liter bottle of soda. And I looked at it and I kind of did a quick calculation. There's like 900 calories in a 2-liter bottle of soda. I had 6 of them in the refrigerator and several of them on the floor. I'm like, 900 calories a day just in soda plus the Mountain Dew. I'm gaining 2 pounds a week doing nothing.
When you start on a diet, I can see the impetus. Oh, I'm going to show them, and also the success of early weight loss, and it does come off
pretty quickly, right?
Quickly, so to speak. But how do you stay with the program? I mean, that's a long time. You started when?
March 1st of 2011.
And when you would say, are you still dieting now? Or you're plateauing now?
I never called it a diet.
You called it a
journey.
A journey.
I've never been, I've not gone off of my journey, not even once. And that's where my faith comes in. That's why I believe this is a miracle, because we're 2 years and 2 months, and I have not had a lick of ice cream, not one potato chip, not one chocolate chip or one M&M or one piece of candy in 2 years and 2 months.
Do you pray?
I pray every day. I pray always.
Do you ask for help on this journey?
Well,
may I ask? Don't answer if it's too personal.
No, I've kind of changed my prayer. Mostly it's Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Every day, every single day,
Gratitude.
I thank God for this, and then what am I going to do with it? What do you want me to do with this? And then I pray every day. My prayer is always take away the hunger and the desire for junk food and sugar and sweets and salt and things that are not healthy and nourishing, and replace that hunger with a hunger for justice and peace and compassion and love. And that's my prayer. Take away that one and give me a hunger for this, to do good.
Take away sugar and crunch.
Yes.
And let me live love and compassion.
Yeah. I mean, that really is my essence.
So did you ever have a desire for like smooth, like you say, no ice cream? Was there, I can understand crunch, maybe you have a carrot or a piece of celery or something, but smooth like pudding or smooth like...
Whether it's smooth, yogurt. After I lost the first 100 pounds, my sister convinced me that 130 calories of Yoplait yogurt, you know, Greek yogurt, is worth it, because I was always so concerned about calories that, wow, 130, I can get a...
What did you have for breakfast?
For breakfast, for almost the first entire year, I had 2 eggs with a spray, you know,
Yes.
spray butter or spray
Right.
something, and I would fry 2 eggs in a frying pan, 2 pieces of 35-calorie dry toast,
Right.
ketchup on the eggs. I was going to use that 35 calories worth of ketchup because that's my preference, and, you know, coffee with sugar-free French vanilla creamer. I decided on day 1 that this was not going to be something I'd go on for a period of time. This was my life, and I knew, I still know, that I can't go the rest of my life on black coffee. And so you know, that's something that I did. And so now I eat oatmeal.
Did you ever get hungry between meals or before bed?
You know, the first year I really didn't. It doesn't sound possible, but I believe, and I'm not a doctor, but I believe I had so much weight to draw from,
Right.
that, you know, the calories, I
Came
was
easily.
hard pressed to get to 1,000 calories in the beginning, and I wasn't hungry, but I drink a ton of water, 2 gallons of water a day.
That's like over 200 ounces.
Yes, 2 gallons. I have a liter bottle or a quart
And
bottle.
what do you put potassium or anything in it?
I use
Salt?
like the Hawaiian Punch or the Crystal Lights or something. I do take potassium supplements, and I never restricted sodium from my
Right.
diet. You know, some people think, well, that's terrible, but no.
And is the liquid filling? Because that's more than they recommend. That's
Yeah.
double, more or less,
Yeah.
what they
It's
recommend.
filling and it's sweet, and
And it's sweet.
right. But at 428 pounds, 200 ounces wasn't really
Yes.
outrageous.
Do you vary the flavors?
I do. I usually get what's on sale, or Hawaiian Punch, or sugar-free, and, you know, some people say, oh, the NutraSweet isn't good for you,
Yeah.
but neither was the weight.
Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. And as you came down, and you thought of it as a journey, what other parts, how else did you consider it a journey?
Well, physically, it was a journey to get from the wheelchair up, but this weight loss is simply a visible sign of a change that's taken place in my life. I had many losses that led up to gaining the weight, several deaths in my family, the loss of a job that was defined me. I was
Yes.
in ministry for 15 years, and it was never a job that I did. It was who I am. So I
Yes.
functioned 24 hours a day as that. Lost my job. I moved from downstate, 200 miles away from my family, took another job that lasted 2 years, was cutting a budget, went back to school at 42. It just had a lot of tremendous things. And I gained the weight, I don't want to say purposely, probably subconsciously, as a defense mechanism, because the more insulation I put around me, the less I allowed people in, the less chance I had of getting hurt, of somebody dying on me again, or trusting. And the bigger I got, and the less mobile I became, and the more the disease progressed, people quit asking me to go places because they knew I couldn't. They quit inviting me to parties. I had a perfect excuse not to participate in life. I couldn't go down the steps if they had it down in the family room. I couldn't fit in a chair at a restaurant if you invited me there. And so I had that perfect excuse. And so now this journey, as I shed the weight, I shed the fear, I shed the inhibitions. I'm trying things. One of my New Year's resolutions was to celebrate. I'm turning 50 this summer, Jubilee, my Jubilee year, and I want to try new things and meet new people and go new places and coming
Have a bigger
here.
life.
Coming here.
Yes.
You know, I never would have. And
No.
I've been invited to Delta College many times for meetings and conferences and such, and I wouldn't even consider it, because where would I park, and what if it's in a place that I can't get to, and is it wheelchair accessible, and how am I going to function?
So as you leave one you behind, so to speak, in the past, and you transit now to a different you, what am I reaching for here? Do things automatically come to you and you say, I won't say no, I will say yes, or do you go out and seek them for the experience?
You know, it's a struggle, because I don't know who this Theresa is. I know the old Theresa. The old Theresa wasn't always 400 pounds, but the old Theresa was always heavy from day one. I weighed 194 pounds in the 8th grade when I was on the cheerleading squad. So I spent my entire life heavy. And so...
How are you going to find out who you are now?
Day by day, people reflect it back to me. Friends,
interesting.
People that I meet, writing. I do a lot of writing.
I would imagine that, and I've also read that people who lose a lot of weight, which this is, their skin doesn't tighten. And so that there are a lot of folds, and sometimes they have to be surgically removed, or I don't know, did that happen to you? What?
I have so much excess skin, and that is probably the hardest thing for me to deal with right now, because when I look in the mirror, that's what I see. It's horrific. It is.
Is it mostly in the abdomen area, or the thighs, arms, everywhere?
The arms.
And what are your options?
Well, the options are to accept it as a sign of
success,
where I've been. I could possibly explore surgery. I've looked into just reading various things. It's extremely expensive, but the recovery is also extremely extensive.
And you probably have scars all over.
Right. Just the arm procedure.
You don't like surgery, so right. There you are.
The arm procedure alone, you know, they cut from the elbow up. But now it's approaching summertime. I live in a community where it's a summer vacation. People that live in my neighborhood are weekenders, their vacation. I love the water. I love the boat. I love to swim. And I am not sure how I'm going to handle this summer, because my legs are wrinkled like an elephant all the way down to my knees. I can't imagine putting on a swimsuit or a pair of shorts unless I get to the point, and that's my prayer now. God, let me look in the mirror and see the goodness that you do. Let me see you.
Beauty.
And if I can get to that, then I really shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter what other people think, but I face it every day. Yes.
Actually, everybody faces it every day, because we're told to be conscious of our image. When you said you were heavy as a child, did you ever feel like you should do something about it, or were you down on yourself at any point?
Well, my family, I come from a family, a very large extended family on both sides, and food was always the center. It made the good times better, it made the bad times better too, you know. And so the people in my family were constantly, you know, trying to lose weight. And I did try a couple times, was successful briefly with crazy diets. Crazy, lost about 80 pounds once in the 80s on an all protein diet, probably very similar to Atkins now.
Yeah.
But I made myself sick. I lived on hot dogs and cottage cheese, and lost a lot of weight, gained it back, and then I tried again in '97 and was successful. But I never learned that this is a life.
Yes.
I learned you go on a diet, and then when you go
graduate.
Right, when you go off
go
the
back
diet,
to who you are, what
right,
you do.
Right, And so, you know, unlike other people in my family, I just really didn't care. My sister was constantly on a diet. My mother, you know, when she passed away, we found her Weight Watcher book. She was on Weight Watchers like my whole entire life. And her starting weight and the weight at her death was exactly the same, and she'd been on Weight Watchers for, you know.
And what was her weight? In the range of what?
Probably right around 200 or so.
And how tall was she?
She was 5'6" maybe.
5'6".
Around there, I don't remember. She's been gone for 21 years, so.
Oh my.
Yeah.
But do you feel that it's kind of like AA, you can't go off the wagon and have an M&M or a potato chip, because if you do, you might tip back to a different eating pattern?
It's one of my biggest fears. Right now, it's something that I need to get a grip on, because my thoughts about food could very easily lead me into going too far. I'm 15 pounds below the top range of the normal chart. I'm not thin by any means, but I don't want to keep going too far. And so I have a fear, number one, that if I don't learn to moderate and I don't allow myself to live, because in reality, I'm not very likely to go the rest of my life without ever having an ice cream cone on a summer day or a hot dog at a ball game, but I'm afraid to do it once because I don't trust myself. I went to New York City recently, and I wouldn't even
partake.
Mm-hmm.
Smart woman.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me in diets, everybody gets to a certain point and then they either want to quit or the last X pounds are very difficult to lose. Was that your experience, or did you have a different experience?
Well, I don't want to quit. I don't want to quit, and I probably ought to pretty soon. But certainly the larger you are, the quicker the weight comes off. I believe it was about 185 pounds I lost in the first year. And then, you know, maybe, what would that leave, 90 pounds or so in the last year. But since Thanksgiving, I've lost 21 pounds.
And it's strictly measuring calories plus a little exercise, probably.
Very little exercise. Right. My first experience with exercise, actually walking into a gym, was this past November.
What a triumph.
Yeah, it was a little strange. I was in a dress and high heels, and I walked out to our college, and I'd never been in a gym. At my age.
Did you go back to the beauty guy with the black nails?
I did.
What did he say?
I did. I actually liked the haircut so much that he became my regular guy, and I, you know, thanked him. And I went to the dentist, and I said, "You don't know the power of your words." And I went to this gentleman, and I went to my sister, because that's one of the lessons I've learned through this. One needs to be very careful with what they say, because we never know how what we say to a person can affect their life. And I've learned that through this, but recently, you know, with the press picking up on the story, students of mine, I taught school for many years, and students 20 years ago, 30 years ago, they were able to find me on Facebook, they're able to find me, and I've received emails saying, "Ms. Borawski, you don't remember me, but in the 8th grade, you said this to me, and this is how it changed my life."
We do affect each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're all each other's teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And so not only are you careful about what you say, because it affects more than that person, it's then they turn around and either act better or worse.
Right.
You know, so you might as well put good stuff into the situation. And I'm glad that you bring the spiritual side to that. That's very important, and I'm glad you say it as a journey. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to wrap up, but I love that you were here, and we will
Thank you for
continue.
the opportunity.
So, what did we learn today? We learned that sometimes a dare will get us where we need to go, and that is commitment. What else did we learn? We learned to view life not as something taken away from us, like a diet, but a journey, a dialogue with God that will allow the things that are temptation to us to go to the side, to be replaced by love and compassion, and I suspect wisdom. What else did we learn? That when you formulate your plan, in whatever it is, beside the diet, leave a little something that you know you have to live with or cannot live without, and that's that vanilla cream for the coffee. And be very patient with yourself and be very honest with her. She was wonderful when she sent to the hairdresser, I basically am at wit's end, I don't care about anything anymore. And he said, you have to care about, everyone cares about how they look, and she realized she didn't. So she was almost at bottom. And different people, the dentist, the sister, the grandmother in heaven, the hairdresser, all contributed like a helping hand, a little wisdom, a little word. So do that in your life, and remember, do something kind today for someone you know and someone you don't know, and repeat it tomorrow and the day after and the day after. And keep Theresa in your mind, for if there's anything you want to do that looks really, really hard and the path is long with a lot of temptations, keep her in your mind and heart, that it can be done, you can go where you wish, and even if you don't know yourself then, you will find out how to be the person that you hope to be and that you wanted to have in your life, and your life will expand. Living well is really a gift, and well is really attitude.
To contact Junia, send her an email at info@juniadoan.com. For more information, program schedules, and news about future guests, go to www.juniadoan.com. Thanks for joining us. See you next time for Uncommon Sense with Junia Doan.